Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Mohawk Motors. My name is Jason. I've been down here in the workshop working on my 2006 manual transmission 2500 HD project, and I've made some progress off camera from where we left off in the last video. And I'm going to catch you up, show you what I've done, and then move forward because I'm doing something here that's may be interesting to you. So I want to show you how I'm doing it. Maybe it'll help. So I guess first thing I'll show you here is the original truck, the donor truck. I've got most of the interior out of this now. And the reason I took the seats and the carpet and everything else out, besides the fact that I'm going to use it in the other truck, is because I needed a piece of this floor. I don't feel bad cutting this cab up because I'm not going to fix it. I'm sure no one else is going to fix it because more than likely it's leaving here and going right to the scrapyard when I'm done with it. I needed the piece of the tunnel where the floor shifter and manual transmission shifter go. And the reason I needed those is the way these trucks are manufactured. You got to imagine or remember, this stuff is mass produced. They don't make, 17 different versions of a floor pan. They make one extended cab floor pan, they stamp it, they press it, they stamp it, they press it, and then they adjust that piece based on what options the truck has. So the floor pan itself, they're all the same in the extended cab trucks. And then they cut out based on manual transmission or automatic, based on floor shift transfer case or electric transfer case. So I'm going to save this little section that I cut out over here because that'll be a great template. I'll have, cutouts for manual transmissions and automatic transmissions and manual transfer cases anytime I need it in the future. If I have another rust-free cab that I want to convert to manual transmission, I've got a template that I can do it. And here you can see, when I climb up in here, my template is in place. And it fits really nicely. I've got it cut here. I captured this ridge because that's really good to help locate it right where it needs to be. And you can see I've traced where I need to cut and where I need to drill holes. But when I set it on there, it's solid. It doesn't move. So I know that those holes are going to be exactly where they would have been from the factory. All I've got to do is, as you see, trace them, and then I'll come back in and cut them out. Well, everybody, it's been a few days, and I've been chipping away at stuff down here in the workshop. And I apologize, you didn't get to see everything that happened, but I've got my nice rust-free cab sitting on my beautiful rust-free chassis. I haven't bolted it down yet, but you can see it sitting on here. My hole for my transmission shifter lined up perfectly as expected. And I'm working on getting the rest of the whole dash out of this thing. And you may be thinking or asking, Jason, these trucks are so similar. They're both 2006s. Why bother taking all this dash out and switching it around? So here's the deal. This truck, the one with the rust-free, not crushed cab, was the highest trim truck. It's got the digital radio, digital HVAC controls, tweeters, and the A-pillars, fancy. Nicest interior package you could get in this thing. The problem with that is the other truck, the original manual truck, had kind of the middle of the road interior. It has the regular manual climate controls, the lower level down from the other one radio, and obviously the HVAC system is different because this one did not have a full center console. That one originally did have a full center console. And what that entails, what that kind of brings up, the reason we're doing all this is the HVAC boxes are different. This HVAC box you can see here has the air output to feed the center console and the rear vents. We don't need that, and in fact it'll be in the way with our manual transmission, so we need to get that out of there. And unfortunately, it's a whole different box. And to my knowledge, the easiest way to fix this and the most right-looking way to fix this is going to be get the box out of the other truck, put it into this truck. Now, the other reason I'm doing all this is the body control module. I do not have any capability to reprogram or change programming in a body control module. And in these trucks, the body control module talks to the radio, it talks to the HVAC controls, it talks to all these different systems, the airbag control system, supplemental restraint system, it talks to all of that stuff. And if it talks to something and it doesn't get the answer at once, it gets upset. And then you get check engine lights, body check airbag lights, all sorts of stuff that I don't want to have issues with. And I don't want whoever buys this truck to have issues with. So the least complicated way I can think of to do all of this and get it functioning, operating just like factory is take all the dash, the interior, the HVAC, the radio, take all of it out of that truck, move it into this truck. And fortunately, it's not a terrible job to do. It's not the most fun thing that I like to do. But between the HVAC, I got to change the steering column, and a few other little odds and ends, it's going to be just as easy and probably faster for me to just swap out the whole dash, and then we'll put the dash from that truck into this one. And then we'll start putting everything back together. So, sorry I didn't show you sitting the cab down on. It's really not that exciting. I lower it down, put the body mounts on, everything lined up as it should, because this is all factory parts. And now it's just rip the dash out, put the other dash in, and start getting stuff put back together. And I'll also be able to, while I have the dash out, that should make it easier for me to change the pedal assembly, because remember, this truck was automatic. We're converting to manual, so we need to have the pedal assembly for the manual transmission in here. We're gonna have to drill a hole for the clutch master cylinder and get that all squared away. So I think this is going to be the cleanest way to do it. And it's boring as heck to watch. So I'm just going to do it, and I'll bring you guys back in a little while. Well, I've been getting after it down here, team. The good cab is pretty much stripped out. I still have some work to do on this before I can put the other pieces into it. But I've got all the old stuff out. The HVAC unit, dash, steering column, brake booster, etc., etc. Pretty much everything that needs to come out of here is now out of here. Excuse me. And on the donor truck, dash out, clutch pedal assembly, obviously. I need to get the brake pedal and throttle pedal out of here, the brake booster, and then the HVAC unit as well. And I did discover... So let's talk about the differences between an automatic transmission truck and a manual transmission truck. Because remember, GM uses essentially the same cab, but adds or removes pieces depending on how that truck is getting put together. And here's a couple examples for you, right? So this is where our clutch pedal mounts. Now there's a dimple, I'll show you, but this is our cutout for the clutch master cylinder, right? And then it gets 2 bolts over here for the clutch pedal assembly and 1 bolt up here for the clutch pedal assembly that holds it in place nice and solid. Now the difference to the automatic truck is, you can see here, this is the throttle pedal bracket. You can see there are no nuts in the throttle pedal assembly where the clutch pedal bracket should bolt to it. So even down to the bracket for the throttle pedal is different. And on the cab itself, that other tab with a nut welded into it is not there. You can see the little place in the firewall insulation where it peels out to make room for it, but it's not there. So I'll have a little bit of cutting. I'll need to get that tab off of the donor cab and get it welded onto my good cab here. and then get some paint on it, obviously, to make sure we don't have any corrosion problems there. The holes are slightly different between the vacuum brake booster and the hydro boost brake booster, but that's really, it's not a huge deal. That's pretty easy. You just drill an additional hole. Oh, what else is different here? The hole for the actual clutch master cylinder. So obviously in the cab that came with an automatic transmission, they don't drill that hole, right? But it is dimpled right here at the center of the hole. So that makes it easy to get your positioning where it needs to be. I just need to see if I have a hole saw that is the right size to make that hole there. The little firewall insulator. This guy is different based on manual or automatic. Not a big deal to change. And I think that's the only major differences. So I'm gonna keep plugging along. I got a little bit more time to be down here in the workshop today. I'm gonna get my hole drilled. I'm gonna see if I can, oh, man, my welder is buried behind a whole bunch of stuff. I'm gonna do as much as I can until it's time to weld. And then I will probably wait until tomorrow to actually do any welding. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Well, I'm out of time for now. I'm probably gonna come back down later this evening, but here's where we're leaving things off. I've got the correct HVAC unit back installed. I've got my pedal brackets all back installed, including welding on the little bracket there at the top of the clutch pedal. So everything is good to go over there. Got my wires tucked up out of the way. And I'm pretty much ready to put the dash back in this thing. There's nothing else that I need to do behind the dash or hidden or anything like that. But I'm gonna do that when I come back down because it's been a long day. I could use a little recharge and I'm sure that's gonna frustrate me. So I'll do that later. So I'll see you guys then. Well, guys, I came back down after dinner. I kind of got in the zone. It's close to midnight now. And I think I'm gonna call it for the evening. Try to get a good night's rest so I can hit it hard again tomorrow because I was making good progress. And I did move the truck over because my sister is coming first thing in the morning so I can change her oil in her car. So that'll be first thing in the morning and then I'll get right back onto this. But here's where I'm leaving it for tonight. And as you can see, ton of progress. Got the whole dash put in. Everything connected electrically, everything bolted up tight. That's pretty much ready for me to start putting the interior back together in the morning. You can see I've got the sound deadening material down on the floor. I've got the ducting for the rear back down on the floor. And let's see, I've got my main cab harness here routed and all hooked back up again. So I don't know if it looks like a lot in video or not, but a lot of work, and I'm making, like, I feel really good. Like I'm at the point now of it's just bolt everything back together. I shouldn't have to do any more modification or changing of things or any of that sort of stuff. I'm literally just putting a stock truck back together now, and I'll use all the best pieces that I have from the two trucks. All the best interior pieces, all the best trim pieces, all that stuff to try to make this thing as nice as I possibly can. And I think it should go pretty quickly. So, like I said, I'm leaving it here for tonight. Tomorrow morning I'll come back down, get after it again, and hopefully make a bunch more progress tomorrow. I really think if tomorrow goes well, I can have the interior back together in this thing. The whole cab, all the interior back together. And then it'll just be a matter of getting the body put back together the rest of the way, the whole front end and the bed, and that won't take very long either. So I'm pumped, guys. Like I'm closing in on the finish on this thing. A week ago, I felt like it was never going to get done, and now I feel like I'm very, very close. Well, everybody, what is a few seconds for you is the entire next day for me. We've got an empty cab. We've got a full cab. All put back together. Clean. Well, it needs a detail. Some of the plastics need to be cleaned up some, but seats are in, center console's in, door panels are back on, everything's together. It just needs a good detail, and then she'll be ready on the inside. But that gets me to the point that I can start putting the front end back together on this thing. Probably tomorrow evening. But I'm really happy with the interior in this truck. This is my favorite color of interior. It's really clean. And obviously we've got the handshaker here in the middle, which I'm really excited about. I really can't wait to drive this thing. Like any truck I sell, I'll drive it for a while and put some miles on it before I get it listed for sale. But this thing's gonna be cool and fun to drive. So, pretty pumped. Not a huge change for a day's work, but also a huge change for a day's work. Like, this is a nice interior. This is a nice truck. It's gonna be fun to drive. Well, everybody, it's the next evening. And obviously, back in the workshop. I wanna get back to work on this thing. And I think my plan here is I'm gonna get as much done in the engine compartment as I can before I start putting the core support, the fenders, all that stuff back onto this thing. And the first thing that I think I need to do here is I want to pull all the plugs and check them. I want to put all the plug wires back on. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. This thing ran really well. So I'm just gonna check everything, make sure it's clean, make sure it's right, and then put it back together. Get all my cowl vacuumed out, cleaned up, and ready to be reassembled. And then we'll get the clutch hooked back up. We'll get the wire harnesses routed back where they need to be down here along the fender wells. Parking brake cable put back where it goes. Some of the air conditioning plumbing put back on. The heater plumbing, all that jazz. Just get as much stuff hooked back up as I can before I put the fenders in my way. That way I'm not working over top of fenders and core support any more than I need to be. Boring stuff. So I'll bring you guys back when I've made some progress. I'll see you in a little while. All right, I'm calling it for the night. Made some progress. Got the brake master cylinder on and hooked up, plumbed in. Got the clutch all plumbed in. Well, clutch master cylinder plumbed back into the clutch line. Got my power steering lines all connected up. Did some ground wiring. What else? Got a few of my coolant lines over on this side, a couple AC lines on this side. Some things that I didn't realize were different between the 1500 and the 2500. The expansion tank is different. The pressure line from the compressor is different. From what I can tell, the other AC lines will be the same. Also went through, got some parts ordered. I didn't realize this before, but also to note, the first parking brake cable is different between 1500 and 2500 HD. I got the rest of my parking brake cables ordered because I needed all new ones. Basically from the middle of the truck back, needed new parking brake cables. Oh, well, I'm glad I decided to check the spark plugs and the wires. The wires all looked fine, but these spark plugs, man, I don't know how well you can see that, but spec is 40 thousandths, and these spark plugs they're smoked. They've been in there a long time. And I'm guessing that the plug wires are just as old as those spark plugs are. So fortunately, I did have a set of brand new AC Delco plug wires in stock, and I ordered a new set of spark plugs. So those will be here in a day or two. We'll get those put in. I'll probably come down here tomorrow and get the core support set back on it, finish some more of my plumbing, coolant, air conditioning, power steering cooler, all of that jazz. I'll be able to get that stuff finished up. And then by the time that's done, my plugs should be here. I'll get the plugs and wires put back in, get any other little odds and ends buckled in, and then I'll be able to put the fenders back on. So good progress for the evening. Happy with it? Just moving right along. It'll be a whole truck again in no time. Once the front clip is back on, which is probably only 1 or 2 more evenings, then really all I got to do is sit the bed back on it and then get the bumpers on the thing. So should be done. Man, optimistically it'll be done by the end of the week. Maybe I'll be driving it by the time you're watching this video. All right, folks, next evening. Been down here for a little while now, and I'm wrapping it up for the night. I'm kind of stuck until my spark plugs get here tomorrow, just to make my own life easier. I also remembered I'm waiting on a oil dipstick tube. The stock one got all messed up when I was pulling it out, so I'm putting a new one in, and I'm waiting on those 2 things. I want those to get here before I put the fenders and stuff back on. But you can see I've got all the radiator plumbing hooked back up, all the air conditioning plumbing hooked back up. What else? The power steering stuff is all reconnected and hooked back up. I do have a new power steering cooler on the way, but that's not a big deal to change. That's pretty easy. What else? What else? What else? Brakes are all hooked up. I think I mentioned that yesterday. I think that's pretty much all I did tonight. A few more little ground connections, things like that. But again, I don't want to go any further until after I get the plugs, wires, and that dipstick tube put on. And they should hopefully be here tomorrow. So, guess that's it for now. I'll see you guys later. All right. Well, everybody, as you can see, I've got a lot of the front end back on this thing. Core support, fenders, all the electrical, air conditioning. Air conditioning is hooked up and has had a vacuum on it all day. It is not leaking at all, which is a good sign. Oh, I literally just got done putting the new oil dipstick in, which allowed me to fill all the fluids, brake, power steering, oil, engine oil. I filled the transmission transfer case, front and rear differentials before I put the body back on it. I've got the battery hooked up, and I want to see if it starts. Now, it should start. Essentially all I've done here is change the sheet metal of the cab. I used the same dash. I used the dash out of the crushed truck. All the modules and electronics are out of the crushed truck. The core support and impact sensors are out of the crashed truck. The fuse panel, the wire harness, like all of that stuff is out of the crashed truck. So I should just be able to just prime the fuel pump a couple times to get the air out of the fuel system, and it should start. So let's see if it starts. I did bleed the power steering. It will need more bleeding. It's not completely bled. The brakes need to be bled. I haven't bled them at all yet. But it should start. So cross your fingers. I bet you the battery's going to be dead. That's the way my luck goes. We do have a clutch pedal, that's good. trouble light. Man, this thing runs good. Smooth. Heck yeah! Woohoo! That is outstanding. Everything looks good, guys. Man, that huge milestone. Huge milestone. Now it's just the cosmetics. Get the lights and grill and back on it, the hood, the bed. I think I have to order bumpers. I don't think I have any nice straight bumpers. So I'll have to order some bumpers. But that's going to be next video. We're ending this one on a high note. I am pumped. Oh, I really can't wait to drive this thing now. So, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. And until the next video, take care.